Meteorological Services as he tries to stay current with the change in the world climatic conditions as we experience climate change and the disruptive weather patterns, whereby it becomes very difficult to model weather patterns and then to estimate accurately. And of course, challenges the Metro Office to accurately track and could affect the timely alert that the people need to make decisions for themselves on the ground. And I thank the Minister for briefing the House today and Fiji, particularly about the storm surge model, both for the region and for Fiji, which is one of the major issues that he has raised before the House. Just briefed the House today. And I would like to also take this opportunity to thank the meteorological officers in Fiji for all their work in warning the public of Fiji, Mr. Speaker, with regards to the tropical cyclones in particular and the negative weather patterns that affect Fiji as a country in order to be able to be prepared for it as it comes. But Mr. Speaker, I would just like to raise one issue here. The Honourable Minister noted that they have these systems whereby the Metro Services, in a very simple brief, is able to help the decision makers in their decision making with regards to letting the people know to be ready. And that is a good thing. And that is for the decision makers in terms of telling the people what they need to do. But what I would like to raise in particular here, though, Honourable Speaker, is the consistency, particularly in the translation of the reports that come out of the Meteorological Office. I know that these reports are produced in English. But our communities, they listen to this report as it is translated into the vernaculars, both in Hindustani and also in the Tokay. And if you're at home listening to these weather reports and go to particularly the two major radio stations and particularly, and like Radio Fiji has got two radio stations and also Communications Fiji Limited has one. But if you go to both stations, you see slight variations on how they interpret the English weather bulletin. It can be very confusing at times. Now, the government has, particularly for the Fijian vernacular, has got the Itaukei Institute of Language and Culture. So I'm not sure whether they are working with them to be able to have one consistent, one weather report in the Itaukei vernacular for the people to hear and then broadcast in the two different radio stations. Now, like I said, Mr. Speaker, it can be quite confusing because it is subjected to the translation abilities of the different radio stations. So that is what I would like to raise. And also, I understand very little of the Hindi. However, I'm sure there would be, similar variations as well. So some consistency of that would be nice. And if both stations could announce the weather report in English, as very well, assessed by our meteorological services in Nandi and in Suva, and for that same weather report in the vernacular to be broadcast in our radio station and, of course, in the other public media that we have available. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I thank the Honourable Pio Tikoduadua for his response. We move on, and I now call on the Minister for Education, Heritage and Arts, the Honourable Rosie Akbar, to deliver her statement. You have the floor, ma'am.